Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are going to continue on with our World War II project updates. This is a continuation of my tiles. I did a little bit of work on the tiles, so I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so let's just take a look real quick. At this tile, you can see that there is two tones of green here. A lot of you, if you've been following along, you knew that I was going to have a lighter green, darker green. I do plan to put like hedges, clump foliage, and tufts along here to split these two fields. And I do plan to put maybe a hedge along the edge of this board, because this board matches up with another board, and that hedge will disguise this field. Now I might put another hedge on this side, or I might put it on the yellow side. I'm not exactly sure. But this is the river that runs through it, the Mer Duret River. I also textured the bank of the river along the hills and the stream. That's just one of many tiles. Some of these tiles, specifically that one right there, that's just one of them, also many tiles. You can see that it is 3 tones of yellow. I used like, okay, where's my, I might be able to use this. This one is like a light yellow, sun yellow, I think is what it was called. This was a medium yellow, and this was a yellow ochre, and then back to sun yellow. And you can see the paintbrush strokes in the tile that is simulating the plowed fields. I could have gone in and textured all that, but I don't think I'm going to need to do that, because I'm going to put some Liquitex on that, giving it a moist wetland area look. I'm going to wetland this area, this. You can see that those are two different, well, maybe you can't see that. Okay, you can see that that's 2 different tones of green. That's also 2 different tones of green. I've got other tiles in there that I've done pretty much the same thing. I plan to put hedges that separate these fields, and each field, like another hedge going across here, a hedge is there, etc. Right? Okay. That's going to separate the fields. But the fields, I might go in and put flock in there. I might put some gravel or dirt or something light in there. I might even put like beads of Alex or something like that in there, just to give like a plowed field effect. But I don't think I'm going to need any of that, because it's going to be covered in liquid, but not, only like a fraction of an inch, and then the hedges will be partially sticking up out of the water, along with the tufts and the clump foliage and any other bushes that I might put in this area. I might put some random bushes in this area too, because this section here is actually not a plowed field, it's just grass. But it's going to be under the water. That's why I didn't bother using any of the paper on that, because it's going to be underwater. Now this is the second half of the river. This is the first half. That's something we're going to work on today on this video, is this river. But in addition to that, I'd like to keep you guys updated on what I've gotten in. I got some farm fencing in from Skytrex. These are 15 millimeter laser cut fencing with a base. The base is, a couple of the fences have doorways or gates, I guess, if you would. This is the short. These are medium. And then over here we've got like these really long ones. This is the backside. And these are 8 inches long. And those have gates as well. So I'm going to put those together. But these will work. These will work for my American War of Independence. They'll work for my Napoleonics. They'll work for the World War II. So this was a good investment. All right, so now let's go ahead and do the river. The river is going to be done in 2 parts. Well, actually multiple parts, because I'm going to use a liquid on top of that as well. I'm going to use the liquid effects, probably from Vallejo or AK, probably AK, to do the river, and then I'm going to use the Liquitex gel to do most of the fields. I don't think I'm going to need to do 100% coverage out on the fields. I think just groups of water might be good to make it look like it's marshy. Okay, now I got this little plastic cup here. I'm going to put some Boulder from Folk Art. It's just a craft paint. I'm going to put that in there. Now I've decided on the sides, along the edges of these boards, I thought I was going to do like a really dark brown to cover the that's probably all I need to do a dark brown, and I decided to do green instead. Nope, this one wasn't done, but I've done green on a few of them because I think the green will blend better with the grass. So because the brown will make the edge stand out even more. So if I do a green that's close to this color, if there's a gap in my boards, it might show up. And so I was thinking I was going to use these greens right here, which is grass green and forest moss together, like with a mixture. I think I should be able to get a color pretty close to that. I tried hunter green, but it is just too dark. It just darkened up. It looked like a super dark green, which is kind of what I wanted at first. But I think a color closer to this would be better. Okay, so now another thing, when I'm doing the edges, and even when I did these, I had mixed some Mod Podge and paint together, like 2 parts Mod Podge, 1 part paint, to cover the fields. I did that and I'm planning on doing that as well on the edges. Well, I have done it on a few of the edges, but and even on the bottom of some of these, I had painted to give the styrofoam a little more strength and resist damage when it comes to me gaming on it, right? Okay, I need to add a little water to that. Okay. Now I could go in with a little brush and go nee, 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 but I'm not worried about any of that. We're going to go with something a little bit more substantial. And this is probably not enough paint. I just didn't want to overdo it. And then we're going to paint in the riverbed. Now, to be honest, I want the paint to get up on the Alex, because if you remember, I had used a Alex latex caulking through the entire thing, and then I used my finger to rub out the river, forcing the Alex to the left and right, making like a river bank. And I want the river banks to have a little bit of this boulder. So it's not only inside the river, but it's going outside the river as well. And the main reason why I'm putting boulder in here is for the riverbanks and not inside the river, because inside the river is going to be blue. So like that raised area there, I was wanting to be boulder. Because what the boulder will do is it will accentuate the blue that's underneath, kind of giving it a border, like a shadow. Taking my time with this big brush, trying not to get too much over the river. I just want to get that raised area. And also with it being watered down, it's going to blend with the shoreline. Okay, that's that one. Might not have enough for this whole thing. Okay, let me paint the river and then I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. This is now dry, mostly, I would say probably close to 90% dry. It's not 100%, but that's okay if it blends a little bit with this. Now I'm going to use Ink Spot because Ink Spot is a very dark blue, and I thought about true blue, like light blue, to make it really vibrant or whatever, but I want it to look like it's a little deeper, so I went with the darker blue. I am going to put just a little bit of water in there. Okay. Plus I use the same tub as the boulder. But in this case, I'm going to use my number 14 brush, which that I normally use for like terrain or dry brushing. Alright, but I wanted it to be small enough that I could get inside the river and not necessarily past the bank. Right? I want to stay inside the bank. Now you might have noticed I changed a little bit on my camera because I went in while the boulder was drying. I went in and looked at the first half of the video, and I saw that all the yellows looked washed out, like you couldn't see the difference in the yellow colors. So right now you should be able to see the golden ochre. This is the top part of the map, so that basically goes off of the map. Okay, and with that you can see how the blue and the boulder kind of highlight each other. It gives it kind of like it accentuates the riverbank. Thought about using like sand or like a tan or something, but I find that boulder looks really good. Alright, so that one is pretty much done. And this goes off the map right here. I laid that on pretty thick. What's kind of funny about this battle is that the river is kind of like inconsequential. It doesn't even really need to be there because this entire area is flooded, so it's all treated the same. It's really just for looks and to let people know where the river is. Because when you cross the flooded area, river or otherwise, you just roll a d6 and that's how many inches you move. If you roll it a 6, then you still only move 5 inches, but you take a casualty. So you actually risk, well, yeah, for like, the average is like 2.5 inches of movement, maybe 3 inches of movement, because you get to roll a d6. So maybe 3 inches of movement every turn. If it's 24 inches across, approximately, you know, that's going to take you, what, 8 turns? Maybe it's not worth it. And that means 8 chances to roll a 6 and take a casualty. So I don't think, I mean, if you want to, it's okay. Or like if you get close, like halfway across the causeway, you could break off into the water, or you could start on the water and then get on the causeway. But I don't know if I would risk going on the water. I probably would stay on the slope and on the road, the causeway, berm, and go that way. But you're constantly under machine gun fire if you do that. Okay, so the blue is on. The blue is also going to take a few minutes to dry, but I am not going to work with foliage today. I am not putting, what I do plan to do is put some foliage on the side of the hills along the bottom of the bank. I'm rethinking my idea of putting attaching hedges to the foam. The reason, I can always just take hedges like this and just lay them out there on the battlefield, right? I could very easily lay a couple of hedges right there, etc. And on the other sides too, you know. I could even make some bespoke hedges. That won't be a problem. But I think I might do that. Make some basic hedges to lay on here, because same reason why I didn't want to put any foliage up here, like trees or bushes up here, because I want it to lay flat when I store it. And I considered doing it down here in the low area, because I could still lay a foam on top of it and it wouldn't affect the low ground hedges. But I think I want to make some hedges like this, maybe put some trees, maybe make some other hedges. I can still do the water in like the center area, like in this area, and not along here or what have you. And then when I lay this, it'll still be wet in here and maybe not on this. But at least it'll give me a chance to put trees and stuff. And then I can pull these off, use them in other places, and I'll be able to store these without trees poking up or the hedges getting smushed. Because when I store these, I plan to take the foam that is extra, the foam that I cut out, I'm going to lay it on here and use it as a cushion, so that when I put all the foam, like you can probably see, look at my camera, you could probably see that I've got some blue foam right there, and that's keeping, okay, maybe not that tile, or maybe it is that tile. Yeah, because I got that tile turned upside down, and I got some of that blue foam in the gap, so that if I was to put any pressure on it, it wouldn't snap the wouldn't snap the low ground. Now there's another thing I'm thinking about doing. I keep going back and forth with this in my head. If I don't put the water texture on this, and I could just tell players anything off of the ridge is flooded, right? And so I don't need to put any water texture down here. And then I could maybe flock and make fields over there, and then use it for other battles, right? It doesn't have to be this specific battle, even though the hills and the whole battlefield is definitely bespoke to this battle. There's nothing saying I couldn't do a medieval battle on it, or even a Napoleonic battle, or a American War of Independence, right? I could take this battlefield and put it somewhere else and just use it as a battlefield. But if I flood it for whatever reason, if I flood the low ground, then I'm pretty much locking myself in to only using this for that battle. So I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm building everything else up until I can make that decision. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you tomorrow if you come by and see the live stream where I make the chapel, and maybe I'll make a decision by then. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to put water on the river, of course. I don't know if I want to put water in these areas. For one thing, it'll weigh it down. It'll make it heavier, but it'll make the whole tile heavier. Even though this tile doesn't really weigh that much, it still does weigh some. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 or 12 Eastern. Catch you then.